the Stranger Things season finale is a lie. Or at least that's what nearly 400,000 people believe. Enough people, in fact, to sign a Change.org petition demanding answers, demanding truth, and demanding that Netflix admits something isn't right. And before you dismiss this as just salty fans who can't accept the ending, let me tell you, this theory didn't come out of nowhere. It came with screenshots, timestamps, visual patterns, dialogue analysis, interviews, outside the show behavior, and a level of obsession that feels almost intentional. I'm not saying I fully believe it. I'm not saying it's real. But the question isn't whether it's true. The question is why so many people are convinced it might be. Is this mass delusion? Is it grief? Or are Netflix and the Duffer brothers playing the longest, cruelest game of all time? Let's break it all down. First, we need context, because without it, none of this makes sense. The final episode of Stranger Things, titled The Right Side Up, dropped on December 31st, 2025. It was positioned as the definitive ending. The war was over, Vecna was defeated, the Upside Down collapsed, and the characters we followed for nearly a decade were finally given peace. Or at least that's what it looked like. One day later, on January 2nd, Twitter and TikTok exploded with a new hashtag, ConformityGate. The name itself is telling. Conformity, meaning everything suddenly fits too neatly, too perfectly, too cleanly. According to fans, the epilogue doesn't feel earned. It feels manufactured. And once you see it, it's hard to unsee. Every character, once defined by rebellion, trauma, and loss, suddenly slips into a picture-perfect life. Steve becomes a teacher. Hopper and Joyce get married. Lucas and Max go on movie dates like nothing ever happened. Even Eleven's sacrifice seems to magically solve every problem. Dr. K disappears without consequence. The military threat vanishes. Hopper, who was believed dead and later involved in violent conflict with military forces, faces no accountability. Hawkins' law enforcement just forgives everything. The world resets, too easily, too cleanly. And even within the show, Max points this out during the final D&D scene. She calls attention to how unreal it feels. That line alone sent fans spiraling. So here's the core of the theory. What if episode 8 isn't the real ending? What if the finale we watched is an illusion, a false reality created by Vecna? And according to the most extreme version of this theory, Netflix is hiding a secret episode 9 set to drop on January 7th. When this first surfaced, it sounded ridiculous. A handful of online conspiracists connecting dots that weren't there. But then the petition numbers kept climbing, and then major outlets started covering it. Screen Rant, Collider, Kotaku, Newsweek. Once mainstream media acknowledges something like this, it stops being fringe. It becomes a phenomenon. So what's the evidence? Let's start with the graduation scene, because that's ground zero for ConformityGate believers. Fans notice that every single character crosses their hands in the exact same way. Same posture, same placement. Identical. And according to fans, that pose matches Henry Creel's posture when Eleven banished him to the Upside Down. Is that a coincidence? Maybe, but then people notice the graduation gowns. They're orange. Orange wasn't a common graduation color in the 1980s. It is, however, strongly associated with prison uniforms. The implication? The characters aren't free. They're trapped, prisoners inside Vecna's constructed reality. And it doesn't stop there. According to the official Stranger Things novelization, Hawkins High's graduation gowns are green, not orange. Then someone counted the extras in the scene. Exactly 12 people wearing sunglasses, the same number of sacrifices Vecna needed to merge worlds. Again, maybe coincidence, but when coincidences stack up, they start feeling intentional. Then there are the Truman Show references, which might be the most unsettling part of the entire theory. If you've seen the Truman Show, you know it's about a man unknowingly living inside a fake reality, surrounded by clues he can't quite interpret. Fans noticed bright red exit signs placed prominently in multiple epilogue scenes, behind Max and Lucas, behind Will at the bar, behind Joyce and Hopper on their date. But earlier in the season, those signs are barely visible or framed out entirely. Suddenly, in the epilogue, they're impossible to ignore. Red, bold, centered. You don't accidentally frame an exit sign 3 times in emotionally important scenes unless you're trying to say something. Either the set designers made the same mistake repeatedly, or they were instructed not to hide it. Once fans started looking for Truman Show parallels, they found more. Visual symmetry, artificial lighting, dialogue that feels staged, scenes that lack the grit and chaos Stranger Things is known for. Individually, these moments could be brushed off. Together, they form a pattern that's hard to ignore. Then there's the Dungeons and Dragons scene. Fans claim the book spines spell out X a lie, interpreted as Dimension X is a lie. That one might be a stretch, but in conspiracy culture, stretches are currency. And then we get to the number 7. 7 appears repeatedly throughout the season. Episode runtimes, camera angles, dialogue beats, and the date fans are convinced episode 9 will drop, January 7th, which also happens to be Orthodox Christmas. Stranger Things has a history of releasing episodes on holidays, and if episode 9 existed, it would be episode 43 of the entire series, dropping exactly 43 days after the season premiere. Is that intentional design or numerology madness? Hard to say, but fans are eating it up. According to the theory, the illusion begins when Mike passes out during the final battle. From that point on, any scene featuring Mike is unreliable. Fans believe Mike slipped into Vecna's trance, and once you accept that premise, everything after becomes suspect. Will's powers, the clean resolution, the emotional closure. Fans point to dialogue that allegedly breaks the fourth wall. Lucas asks Mike whether what they're experiencing is real or if Vecna is manipulating them again. Robin explains that Vecna's victims share one trait. They're unconscious, trapped in a trance. Fans interpret this as the Duffers speaking directly to the audience. Lucas represents the skeptical fans. Mike represents the confused viewers. Robin becomes the exposition device spelling out the twist.
There's even a moment where Robin suggests they should just assume everything they saw was real. To fans, that's the biggest red flag of all. Why suggest that unless it might not be? Then there's the music evidence. Robin identifies records as belonging to specific characters. She knows Max's song. She knows Holly's favorite song. Fans ask how she would know that. The theory claims the illusion is built from Mike's memories, but memories are flawed, which explains the glitches. Will's favorite song is Should I Stay or Should I Go by The Clash. That track appears on Combat Rock, not London Calling, but Robin picks up London Calling. For a music nerd and DJ, that's a massive mistake, unless it's not her memory, unless it's Vecna filling in gaps with imperfect information. That also explains missing characters. Vicky is gone. Susie is gone. Steve suddenly becomes a baseball coach despite never showing interest in the sport, but Vecna has only ever seen him with a bat. The illusion fills in the blanks with surface-level symbolism. Outside the show, fans point to Netflix's behavior. The Stranger Things WWE collaboration is scheduled after the finale. Why promote the show after it's supposedly over? Searching Netflix for terms like fake ending, season 9, episode 9, or ConformityGate brings up Stranger Things exclusively. Netflix says it's just the algorithm responding to searches. Fans say it's intentional. Now let's talk about reality. The Duffers haven't addressed ConformityGate directly, but Ross Duffer told Variety he doesn't think there's a single deleted scene left. Matt Duffer said multiple endings would be insane and impossible. Randy Havens, who plays Mr. Clark, flat out said on Instagram there is no secret episode and people should stop believing internet rumors. Netflix announced a behind-the-scenes documentary titled One Last Adventure, dropping January 12th, detailing the making of Season 5. The cast posted farewells. Millie Bobby Brown wrote Over and Out. Noah Schnapp wrote The End. None of this screams secret finale. Historically, fandoms have done this before. Game of Thrones had a petition with nearly 2 million signatures. HBO ignored it. Lost faced endless conspiracy theories. The Snyder Cut is the exception, not the rule. And that movement succeeded because footage actually existed. With Stranger Things, the creators deny that anything else was filmed.